The palace was silent, yet Jasmine could not sleep. The golden arches, jeweled fountains, and endless corridors echoed like a prison more than a home. She stood by the balcony, gazing at the city below, where lanterns flickered like fireflies and laughter carried through the streets. Somewhere in those shadows lived a boy who once held her hand under the starlit sky and whispered that freedom was not just a dream. That boy had become her husband. That boy was Aladdin. But tonight, the distance between them felt wider than the desert beyond Agrabah. Aladdin sat in the next room, staring at the lamp he had sworn to lock away forever. Its surface gleamed faintly in the torchlight, as though mocking him. He had thought power was the answer. He had thought being a prince would end his hunger, his shame, his longing. Yet with every wish granted, the emptier he felt. "Why can't I stop thinking about it?" he whispered to himself. The lamp was silent, but temptation burned like a serpent coiled in his chest. Main conflict, the cracks in paradise. Jasmine noticed the change first in his eyes. They no longer carried the spark of reckless hope but the shadow of restlessness. "You promised me," she said one evening, her voice trembling as she looked at the lamp resting on the shelf. "You said we'd never use it again. That we'd learn to live with what we already have." Aladdin turned to her, anger flashing across his face. "Do you know what it was like out there, Jasmine? To starve, to hide, to be invisible?" "I do. Every day, I remember. And when I hold this lamp, I know I'll never go back to that life." "But what about us?" Jasmine pressed. "What about the life we are building together? Power cannot fill the emptiness inside you, Aladdin." His silence was sharper than any reply. That night, she dreamed of the marketplace, where she first met him. The boy with mischief in his grin, offering her half of his stolen bread without hesitation. A boy who wanted nothing more than to be seen. Where had he gone? The first twist, a stranger's warning. Weeks later, as Aladdin wandered the city in disguise, a hooded stranger stopped him. The man's eyes were clouded with age, but his voice was sharp as a blade. "You think you own the lamp," the stranger rasped. "But in truth, it owns you." Aladdin recoiled. "What do you know of it?" The man smiled, revealing broken teeth. "Enough to tell you this: every wish has a shadow. And shadows do not vanish. They grow." Before Aladdin could demand more, the stranger melted into the crowd, leaving only unease in his wake. That night, Aladdin dreamed of hands reaching for him from the lamp's golden surface. He woke drenched in sweat, clutching Jasmine's arms so tightly she gasped. "Aladdin, what's happening to you?" she whispered. He could not answer. Jasmine's struggle. Jasmine's heart tore between love and fear. She still saw the boy she adored, the one who had risked everything to show her the world outside palace walls. Yet she also saw a man haunted by the hunger of his past, consumed by the belief that without the lamp, he was nothing. She confided in her father, the Sultan, but he only shook his head. "Power changes men, my child. You must be his anchor, or he will drift into storms from which he cannot return." But how does one anchor a man who no longer believes he is lost? The second twist, the wish he couldn't resist. One evening, during a council meeting, news arrived of a famine in the villages beyond Agrabah. Children starving, crops failing, wells drying. The court debated endlessly, but Aladdin's eyes kept darting to the shelf where the lamp gleamed in silence. When night fell, he could bear it no longer. "I have to help them," he muttered, striking the lamp before Jasmine could stop him. The genie appeared in a flash of blue fire, his smile tired yet kind. "Al, it's been a while," the genie said. "You sure about this? Give them food, water, everything they need." Aladdin cried. The genie sighed, snapped his fingers, and the wish unfolded. Rivers filled, granaries overflowed, joy returned to the starving people. Cheers rose in Aladdin's name. He felt the warmth of their gratitude, but deep inside, a hollow echo answered back. Later that night, Jasmine looked at him with tearful eyes. "You did a good thing," she admitted softly. "But why do I feel like we've lost something?" Aladdin stared at the lamp, unable to look at her. Rising tension, the shadow of the wish. The famine ended, but so did balance. With too much abundance, greed spread. Villagers fought over overflowing supplies, traders went bankrupt, thieves grew bolder. Chaos reigned in the streets. "This isn't what I wanted," Aladdin groaned, watching the unrest from the palace walls. Jasmine's voice trembled. "Every wish has a shadow, remember?" Aladdin's stomach twisted. The stranger's words returned, heavy as chains. The third twist, Jasmine's choice. One night, when Aladdin finally slept, Jasmine crept into the room where the lamp rested. She stared at it for a long time, torn between fear and resolve. She thought of the boy she loved, the man he was becoming, and the danger that lay ahead if the lamp remained in their lives. Her hands shook as she lifted it. The metal was warm, almost alive. "Forgive me," she whispered. Then she walked into the desert alone. She buried the lamp beneath the shifting dunes, marking the spot with nothing but her tears. The reckoning. By morning, Aladdin awoke to find the lamp gone. Panic surged through him like fire. "Where is it?" he shouted. Jasmine stood before him, her face pale but determined. "It's over, Aladdin. I buried it. We don't need it. You don't need it." His rage broke like a storm. "How could you? That was the only thing that kept us safe, that made me more than a thief." "You were never just a thief," Jasmine cried. "You were the man who gave me bread when I was hungry. Who risked everything for me without a second thought. That's who you are. Not the lamp. Not the wishes. You." Her words cut deeper than any blade. For the first time, Aladdin saw himself reflected in her eyes, not as a prince, not as a savior, but as a man terrified of being ordinary. And he wept. Conclusion, the open ending. Days turned into weeks. Slowly, Agrabah healed from the chaos of abundance. Aladdin spent his time among the people, working side by side in the markets and fields. He found joy not in grand miracles but in the laughter of children, in Jasmine's hand in his, in the knowledge that he could choose his own path without the shadow of the lamp. Yet sometimes, late at night, his gaze drifted to the horizon where desert sand stretched endlessly. He wondered if the lamp still lay beneath, waiting. If one day the shifting dunes might uncover it again. And in that thought lingered both fear and temptation. For some wishes, once dreamed, are never truly buried.